Hello, everybody. Welcome along to post-match reaction. Here on the Rangers Rabble Podcast. St Mirren 1, Rangers 1. Another embarrassing, really, performance. Rangers shown absolutely nothing until the tactics were just lump on as many attackers as we can and hope for the best. Um, these tactics under Martin aren't working. The players either don't know what they're doing or aren't capable of doing it. Every single week, the performances are getting worse and worse and worse. Players refusing to come on the park. Russell Martin throwing people under the bus. It's just an absolute mess. An absolute mess at the football club right now. I hope the owners are watching from wherever they are around the world. They are seeing what is happening and they act. They have to act. It's just an absolute shit show, if I'm being brutally honest. Apologies for the language at 4 o'clock on a Sunday, but it's an absolute shit show. And I don't know how many more games that we can accept this or watch this. It's just dire. It's dire from start to finish. St Mirren were by far the better team today. In that first half, they could have been 2, 3, 4 goals up. I don't know what Joe Rothwell's banging on about in his post-match. I don't think St Mirren created anything. They did. And by the way, it wasn't difficult for them. Let's be honest, it really, really wasn't difficult for them. No, it's an absolute embarrassment. It's an absolute joke. As far as I'm concerned, as long as Russell Martin is still the manager of Rangers Football Club, you can kiss goodbye to the league title. You can kiss goodbye to decent performances in Europe. You can kiss goodbye to everything. The worst start to a permanent Rangers manager, and it's in at least 36 years, if not all time. He clearly does not have a Scooby what he's doing. And his post-matches to me prove that. His substitutions to me prove that. His tactics to me prove that. Everything about this Rangers team to me proves that. And I don't really know where we go from here with Russell Martin still manager of the football club. It's great having 106% possession of the ball, but we don't do anything with it. We absolutely do. It takes a young kid who's come through the academy to come on and have a shot at goal. Finlay Curtis had 2 shots on goal before any other Rangers player had a shot. That's incredible. That's not acceptable. And see this, we have to accept pain. It's going to get better. Maybe we have to accept pain in terms of some of the performances. Maybe the performances aren't going to be up to scratch, right? But we don't have to accept pain in terms of not getting the results. We don't have to accept pain in terms of drawing at home with Dundee and being saved by a penalty. We don't need to accept pain by being outplayed by St Mirren and being a youngster coming through the academy who's got to come on and score a goal to try and get us back into the game. Players refusing to come on the park. Raskin and Martin clearly have some kind of issue with each other. We don't have to accept this type of short-term pain. Not when we've spent the best part of 20 million on this squad. There's no excuse for it. There's no excuse for the 3 games we've had to the start of this season. It's a joke, folks. It's an absolute joke. And I don't know where we go from here. I really, really, really don't know where we go. I am joined today by Alex and Mark. Alex, how are you?
Well, I had to sit through that 2 hours of pain on the watch along, mate. So I thought, you know what? What's worse? Sit through that pain myself? No, get on the reaction pod and do that again. So there you go. Just feel all the pain over again. But I completely agree with everything you said there. It's not good enough. I mean, if you're somebody like Finlay Curtis, surely you've got to be sitting there going, what have I got today to get a start? I've now scored in numerous games. I've shown that I've got the ability to do it. He comes on, and as you said, the player to get the first 2 shots on target. It took us 78 minutes to get a shot on target, and it was Finlay Curtis getting a goal. How is that good enough? Russell Martin's tactics today were, right, I can't get a shot on goal. Just lump another attacker. We'll take off a defender who, by the way, was having a good game, a very good game down that left-hand side, and he thought, right, you're the first one to get whipped off. We'll get him another attacker. Magoma's got to be sitting there going, what have I got to do to actually stay on this pitch for longer than 60 minutes?
I have no idea about that substitution, by the way.
It's just getting absolutely torn apart here. If anything, take Max Aarons off earlier because it was quite clear he wasn't having a great game. Get him off. But no, we'll take off Magoma, who's had 2 good games in a Rangers jersey, and he's been whipped off both times. So Russell Martin cannot say that this was anybody else's fault. bar himself, he cannot manage this club in this league. There was a comment and it summed it up perfectly in the watch along. He's a championship manager that's come with championship tactics. Who's going to take Rangers to the championship? That's where we're going at this rate, because we're sitting 7th in the league. We're going nowhere under Russell Martin. We cannot win a game. 3 points in 3 games is utter dire, and that's where we're sitting at. And we're probably not going to get any points next week. Let's be honest with ourselves.
No, and in the past few seasons, we'd be saying to ourselves, right, we've dropped points against St Mirren, we've dropped points against Motherwell, but we're confident getting into the Old Firm. And see, to be honest, like yesterday, the day before, that's still the way that I was thinking. But see, watching that again today, no, I'm sorry. They're not in a great place, but you know what? They're still winning games. They're still scoring goals. And I am really worried about what could happen at Ibrox next Sunday. I'm worried about what the fans are going to be like next Sunday. It's going to be an absolute mess. And just quickly, Haggis has joined as a member on YouTube. Thank you very much, Haggis. Thank you for the support. Hope you enjoy the extra content. And I want to bring up this because it's a good point, by the way, right? Good for business, though, Martin. Now, when Rangers get beat or Rangers drop points, yes, we get a lot more people watching, right? We do. It's just a fact, which brings in more money to the podcast, right? It just does. But how long until it just becomes a norm and people stop watching? And then not just that people who don't normally watch that tune in, but Rangers fans just go, I can't, no, why would I bother watching anything about the football club when we're in this state? So initially it might be good for business, but in the long term, it's certainly not. Certainly not good for business. Mark, how are you?
Another weekend ruined by another terrible Rangers performance. I don't know where we go from here. I'm like you. I'm worried about next weekend. They'll tear us apart if we play like that. The way we've been playing recently, it's not good enough. I just don't know. Like I said off camera, I think the team have already jacked it in already. A few games in, they've already looked like they've jacked it, and they're not even trying for the manager. I just don't think they understand what he's trying to put out on the pitch as a product. It's clearly not working, and that second half change was like desperation, just throwing on as many attacking players as he could get, changing to the back three, and then taking players out of position, just throwing as many forward as he could get. It just smacks of desperation, I think. And if we continue like this, I think next week could be a real sore one if we don't pull the finger out. But I can't see it changing in the short term. So some of the comments post-match, manager, some of the players, so unacceptable. Doesn't bode well. It just makes me think that certain players have chucked it and they're not buying into his style or what he's trying to put on the pitch. There's a bit of delusion coming from Russell Martin as well, so it's all another mixing pot of terrible weekend ruined the game by Rangers. So cheers, thanks for that, Rangers.
Yeah, it seems to be a common thing now, doesn't it? It seems to be a common thing. Right, folks, I'm going to apologise before I do this, but it has to be done because we need to discuss it, because obviously there is a big kind of talking point that's came out of the game, but believe you me, it does not take away from the shambles that is happening
last
in
week,
football.
the week before, like, because it's all the same message every week, mate. It is. We're listening to Philippe Clement again.
The difference is, obviously, he's come out and said something else in this post-match, which I don't know whether he's just said it. In fact, you know what? We'll hear it first, right? We'll listen to this first, and then we'll come back and discuss it.
We don't start the game well enough with enough energy intensity again, so it's an issue, and it's something we spoke about relentlessly. So how we finish games should be how it looks all the time, but we shouldn't be giving teams a goal lead from a really bad goal to concede. It's something we spoke about. We're 2v1 on the back line. Nico nearly steals the ball. We spoke about Nico being close on the counter-attack to their second striker who drops in. And then the ball can't come inside us and behind like that. We're 2v1. You see, it's impossible. So it's frustrating because we've worked on that and spoke about it. And then the response to it. So the definition of courage to, even when the guys are talking after, is about running, blocking, fighting and all that stuff, is much easier when you actually show courage to really take the ball and stick to the work. So at the minute when we have a setback, there is a lack of that. And I said that to the guys. Their willingness to run today, second half, incredible. Some of the recovery runs, Lyle, Nico at the end, the willingness to run to the box. But it always at the minute takes a setback for us and then a reset at half time. And it can't do that. So there's too much tension. There's not enough courage with the ball. So we have to defend way more actions and fight way more without the ball than we actually need to and should. So we have to sort that out. So it's not like I don't think we're learning anything new. We have to keep growing together as a team, but we have to stop giving teams a head start, and also improving the opposition's energy, like they feel like they have a chance. And that come from not being good enough with the ball, not playing with enough energy in the first. We got to the final third loads, turned the ball over. Gas has been amazing, but his first half was nowhere near the levels he's been at. And the second half we finished really strongly, and I thought we'd go on to win the game. We don't, but so it's frustrating.
Talk about those starts then. Is that a mindset? Is that an attitude of giving yourself too much to do and not starting on the front foot?
Like I said, I think it's a bit of tension, whatever it is. We have to find a way through it together. So we will work it out. We'll watch it back a few times. We'll speak to the players. We'll get a lot of feedback from them, and we'll work it out together.
Is that, again, frustrating that it keeps happening, though?
Yeah, but we are 8 weeks in, and I know I'll say this. So usually 8 weeks, you're probably 2 games into the season, maybe 3. So we're having to learn very quickly. European games, league games. We have a big week ahead of us now, so we can still turn it into a good week. The whole dynamic can change by the end of next week by putting in a really good performance and getting a good result on Wednesday night and then Sunday. So perspective for us is really important, but the team and making sure we know where they need to grow is really important as well.
So you said that people have to have that perspective, but when there's that frenzy in Glasgow, and of course it's 3 games now and 3 1-1 draws, is that a difficult message to impart?
I think the only people I have to really concern myself right now in terms of the messaging is the players. So the fans were brilliant today. The second half, they were amazing. So all I can say to them is thank you. And I'm grateful for their support in the second half because they willed the team on a lot. So I understand the frustration, but the clarity of our message needs to become what's really important for the players and the team first to help us improve and start winning. And we will, and they won't look back, the players. And we have a big opportunity to sort that out in the next 2 games.
What was the thinking at halftime in terms of the changes and what you were looking for?
Yeah, we had to try and help a bit, really. We try and keep halftime really concise and down to a few points. One is the attitude and mentality of the team, and the other one is about knowledge and tactical help. So we changed the team to help us tactically and also gives a bit more energy on the pitch and people to really take the ball. So I think it helped us a bit, and then the subs later on helped us as well.
Was there a temptation to throw on Igamane at one point when you needed to go?
Hamza told me he was injured. So we had a bid this week for Hamza. We rejected it. All was fine. Trained fine yesterday, warmed up fine. I turned around to him at 60 minutes because I wanted 2 strikers on the pitch, so Gas and Danny ended up there, and Hamza told me he's injured.
So he's on the bench and he's now effectively refusing to play. Would that be fair?
Well, I don't know. I have to trust him, but we'll see.
How do you deal with a situation like that, especially when you're 1-0 down and you need a goal?
So the issue is that the transfer window is still open. There are a lot of people one eye out the door, one in, and we need people to be all in all the time at this football club. We really need that. So at the minute, there's still too many people uncertain or still trying to think maybe there's something there for me. So the window needs to shut quickly. In-house, we need to make sure that we have people who really want to be here. So the people that come in and the people that stay that really, really want to be here. So we'll see. I'm calm about it. Kevin and Patrick are aware of it, and we'll see where it goes.
Would that be looking at it from the outside then that he's not got a future now if he's not wanting to help the team when they really need it?
I can't. It's 15, 20 minutes after the game, so I don't know where it goes. So like I said, we'll have to wait and see.
Oh, I'm on mute. Apologies. We'll leave it there. It's got about another 2.5 minutes to run or something like that. Right, listen. Let's get there. There's a few things to unpack for that. Right. In fact, we could probably do about a 2-hour show unpacking just that 3.5, 4 minutes of chat. Alex, firstly, Igamane. For me, if Russell Martin doesn't mean that he's refusing to play, if he's not trying to mean that at all, he doesn't mention the fact there's a bid for him midweek that's been rejected, and then say I turned to him at 60 minutes and he told me he was injured. So what Russell Martin's effectively saying there is that Hamza Igamane refused to come on the park.
I mean, if he's refused to come on the park, then I said it before we came on the show, as much love as I've got for somebody like Igamane and what he's done, he needs to sit in the stands. He can't be pulling on a jersey and getting game time. We were sitting there 1-0 down. We needed a striker. We needed somebody to come on and change the game. We only had 2 strikers who both started on the bench, and if Igaman's decided he's not coming on, that he's injured, because it doesn't look like he's injured. He's warming up, he's training fine, and then as soon as he's called to, he does a little hop. The camera showed it. He does like a little hop and says, "Nah, I'm injured." So if that's what he's done and said that he's injured, he can't come on, and he needs to be left in the sidelines, let go out of the club, because somebody like that can't be allowed to pick and choose when he wants to play, because I guarantee he'll be fit enough to play against Bruges. He'll be fit enough next Sunday. So why is it when we need him in the rough games where we are losing 1-0 and we need somebody to come on, he should be the man we turn to. He should be the one making his name for himself, going, "I want to be the main man here at Rangers Football Club, and I want to be your striker." See if he's not going to do that and he's going to chuck the toys at the pram and say, "I'm not doing it," then bye-bye. See you later on. You can't be playing at a club like this and say that you don't want to play. As I get that everybody wants Russell Martin out and we all want him to go before it gets worse, but if he's saying that Igaman's decided not to play, then we have to get behind him and say that you can't play anymore. You truly can't, because we needed every man to be all in, and it's took a young lad in Finlay Curtis to come on and change the game. Igaman could have been him to do it, but he's obviously known that there was a bid rejected, wants to leave, and he says, "Well, if you're not going to sell me, I'm not going to play."
Chris Boyd said it in the kind of post-match of Sky, Mark, right? Now, we'll come to Russell Martin in a second, right, and whether he should or he shouldn't have said it. But Chris Boyd said when Daniel Kuzan was at Rangers, he went out and destroyed Celtic and then left the next day. Wanted to leave, wanted out of the football club, but he went about it the right way. What's your thoughts on just purely Igaman right now, refusing, if that is the case? Because, I mean, if he's saying he's injured, we can't exactly call him a liar until there's proof. But if that is the case, that he's refused to come on the park, your thoughts?
No, if you go back and listen to before, when all that foray was going on with making the decision to who was coming on, Chris Boyd said, someone said, Igaman's warming up, and Chris Boyd said, well, if you look at him, is he warming up? Because he wasn't really doing anything, he was just standing about. So I think if he wants out the club, and that's how he's going to react, then rather than sitting him on the bench and paying his wages, we need to push to get him out. What have we got, a week left of the transfer window? So we need to push to get him out. If that's the way he's going to behave, is he's a professional footballer getting paid decent money, he's got 4 years left on his deal, and he doesn't want to come on, then we need to make the best effort to try and get rid of him and move him on, because that's not the kind of temperament of player you want at the club. Daniel Kuzan done it the right way. You still do your job, you go out when you perform, and then you'll get your move. You don't throw your toys at the pram. It's already turning into a bin fire. That's what's concerning me, all this sort of stuff going on already. We're only, 3 games in domestically. It doesn't bode well for me, but I would move him on. If that's how he's going to act, then he needs to go, and we need to replace him. But we need to replace him with somebody of equal or better quality. That's the issue you're going to find.
Mm-hmm. No, listen, absolutely. Equal or better quality. I think we could have a discussion about just what that quality was that he showed at the football club in his full spell, because there was a short spell where he kind of showed that the potential that he does have, but did he really show that over the majority of his time at the football club? That's probably worth a conversation. And just very, very quickly, for people shouting about Majowski, the rumours are that Majowski said that he won't play for any team in Scotland bar Aberdeen, that he will not come to Rangers. So just throwing that out there quickly. On Russell Martin saying that, Alex, is that something that should have been kept in-house, or is Russell Martin saying that to try and take a bit of pressure off him? Is he saying that so that when people moan and groan about him not bringing Igaman on, he's just giving us the reason why? What should Russell Martin have done in that situation?
It should have 100% be kept behind closed doors. That should be an in-house discussion with Igaman after the game and the reason why he didn't come on. He's done the exact same with Nico Raskin. He tried to throw Raskin under the bus, saying that they had a bit of an argument, and then Raskin obviously wasn't happy with the way the tactics were. He wanted to play. He's obviously come out now and shown that he can play, but he's struggling a wee bit in that position. For me, I think it's one that kept him behind closed doors, because now Russell Martin said Igaman said he's injured. Well, how long is the injury? Because in his midweek presser, he said he's only done 5 or 6 training sessions, so he's not fit enough to start the full game, but he's fit, he's ready to come on and actually make an impact. He says he's trained well and ready to come on. He's not done that. He's actually not come on. So I do think it's a thing for behind closed doors. There would have been questions that we asked later on. There would have been questions that fan news would have asked, and BBC and whatever would have asked later on, why did he not come on? But you don't do it when the emotions are running high, because he's basically just, he as that comment says from Charles, he's thrown him under the bus. But Igaman's thrown himself under the bus as well by not coming on and playing. He's fully thrown himself under the bus. If you're not injured and your tactic to try and get out the club is by saying, I am injured, I can't play, but accept the bid for me, all you've done effectively is say that Rangers are now going to get less money. You're going to have to sell me for less money because somebody's going to see that I've, one, got an attitude problem, and two, I'm an injury prone because I've now picked up another injury after just coming back. So it's quite convenient that Hamza Igamane had all this stuff at the start of the season with Leo, and then he was injured for 5 or 6 weeks. Then we've rejected another bid midweek, and now he's injured again. So it seems like every time my bid's rejected, Igamane becomes injured. So it's a bit of a running theme here that if he doesn't get one accepted, he's all of a sudden injured.
If Russell Martin's not under pressure, Mark, does he come out and say that in a post-match? I mean, I suppose if he's not under pressure, he probably doesn't get asked why Igamane's not coming on. But if we had won the first 2 games and not playing well, and we hadn't played well today, but we'd scraped a win, does Russell Martin even mention that? But also on the other hand, to try and not throw it all on Russell Martin, Hamza Igamane's put him in a bit of a position, refusing to come on the park.
Well, I think that obviously airing it in public is not the right way to go around it, but it's Igamane's the issue if he's the one that's refusing to come on. Like Russell said, if he was injured, I wouldn't have had him on the bench. So he's picked it up in his little pre-sub warm-up, apparently. So I think the most of the blame lies with Igamane, but airing it in public, I'd keep that behind closed doors because, like Alex said, you're then limiting who's going to come in for him in the future. Maybe might put him off. But I mean, it's a common thing in football now. Players tend to pull up with fake injuries a couple of weeks, a week before they go when they get transferred elsewhere. So I think it's all gamesmanship, well, unsportsmanlike. Sorry, I would say. But it's all smoke and mirrors behind the scenes. We don't know what's going on. But I just hope that if he wants out, we get him out within this week because we don't need another passenger this season. We need players that want to dig in and stick in and fight. Otherwise, it's just going to be another poor season like the previous 3-4 seasons we've had before. So, but I think, like you say, if the games had went well and we'd won and we were sitting on 9 points, I don't think Russell Martin's going to mention anything about that. I think he's trying to protect himself a little bit by throwing Igamane under the bus by calling out his commitment.
Just finally on this, Alex, because we'll move on to the game, because I think obviously this news is going to overshadow, I think, a little bit. Initially I thought it might take a bit of pressure off of Russell Martin because now the focus switches to Igamane, but I actually think it's just going to add pressure on it. Add pressure on him for the simple fact that it's clear and evident that there's something not quite right between Raskin and Martin.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clear and evident that Igamane doesn't want to be there. There's been all sorts of rumours flying about certain players not being happy. Is Russell Martin losing the dressing room?
I think he's losing it very, very quickly. It was quite funny because I brought up a comment. I was going to bring it up once you finished your point, but it was from Luke. He says we should be talking about the Russell Martin, the performance and the result, but the Igamane situation has completely shifted the focus. I don't think it has shifted the focus. Yes, we're talking about it now, but Russell Martin is only bringing up these kind of conversations and these points because he's a man very much under pressure. I think he has 100% lost the dressing room. We speak about it. I spoke about it on the watch along. We speak about it before and after. There's players that he's brought in, so Aarons and Rothwell, who don't really deserve a place in the starting lineup. They're still getting it, but it's because he doesn't want to look like he's made the wrong choice. So I said it that James Tavernier looks a better player than Max Aarons, and a lot of people are saying, but he gets a lot of blame when he comes on. Now he does, but his performance looks a lot better. He drives forward. He tries to have a shot. He tries to do what he can do to get us going forward. But Max Aarons is just a poor man's Borna Barisic. He gets the ball, he turns around and he goes back. And it's just not looking good for us. But I think when you look at it, Russell Martin has lost the dressing room. The biggest issue is going to be if we lose to Bruges, which we're going to, let's be honest, we're out of the Champions League, we drop into Europa League where we have been more than comfortable for the past few seasons. If we lose to Celtic on Sunday, we're 10 points behind. We're sitting near the bottom of the table. how is that acceptable for any Rangers manager to go, yeah, I can turn this around, by the way? You're going to have 3 draws and 1 loss before the 31st August. Like, that's not good enough. And Russell Martin's going to have to do a hell of a job to turn it around.
Right, I'm going to bring in this super chat, right, Mark, and I'm also going to add into it something that Russell Martin said in that post-match as well. But firstly, Big Dave has upgraded to a sponsorship tier member, so thank you very much, Big Dave, for the support, and thank you to everybody for the support. The support on this show is absolutely incredible. Right, so Chaz, excuse me, Chaz, Kirby left Ross County mutual consent. Wish Russell Martin would do the same. If not, nothing's going to change. Absolutely woeful. Right now, along with that super chat, Mark, he also said in his post-match here that we're only 8 weeks in. Right now, only 8 weeks in, I could maybe excuse a 1-1 draw in the first game against Motherwell. Right, if the performance isn't great, if the players don't look that gelled, but it's a 50-50 game, or we've got the better of the game, but we're just not 100% there yet, and we slip up in the first game. You can maybe just excuse that, right? But the performance in that game is pretty pathetic from us, right? And then you move to Dundee. I don't care if that's the first day that Russell Martin's walked into the job, right? And he's never met any of the players in his life, and he's got to go in there and pick a starting 11. There is no excuse for that performance against Dundee. So 8 weeks in, bollocks, right? I'm just calling it bollocks. Yes, Club Brugge, 8 weeks in with this team, 100%. Much better team than us. Much better team than us, Club Brugge, right? And we got lucky against Panathinaikos. We got lucky-ish against Victoria Pilsen. Although the first leg, I thought we were extremely good and everything just seemed to kind of come together. But I'm having no more of this. We're only 8 weeks in, Pish, when you're drawn at home to Dundee, and Dundee are unfortunate not to win. And there's no chance that Russell Martin leaves by mutual consent. No chance.
No, if only he would, but no, he's not going to. We're going to have to pay him off if that's something that's going to happen. But I don't see it myself, unfortunately. But it's all just excuses. The 3 domestic games, we've looked the weaker side in every single game. Have we looked like the dominant team against any of the domestic teams we've played so far? No. We've been under the cosh every time because I've watched all 3 of them. We've looked like the worst team. They've been the ones with the pressure, with the shots, with the chance creation, with the forward driving, attacking play. We look like headless chickens, if I'm honest. We don't know the positions. Aaron's just runs, like you say, cuts in, and then goes back. They all say the same. They're all doing the same thing. The style that he's trying to implement is not going to work. I can't see it working here at all in the slightest. But he's just trying to buy time by saying we're 8 weeks in. Yes, we're 8 weeks in. We've not won a single game domestically. It's the worst start since 1989. I know that season we went on and won the league. The last time we didn't win any of our first 3 games, we went on and won the league. That was the 89-90 season. But that's a totally different time from now. Look at that team compared to this team. You know what I mean? It's not. I don't see that massive of a turnaround. We're not going to be able to turn it around and win the league if we continue to keep playing this way, game in, game out. We're going to end up, well, maybe not even second place if we keep this up.
If this keeps up, yeah. And I haven't, Mark, I've never fought, right? Even when we were poor and it was obvious at Celtic we're going to win the league, I have never fought for a second that we would finish anywhere else apart for second. Now that's not good enough, right? But when you can see what you're watching, and Celtic are a better team throughout the last few seasons, and you could see they were going to win the league. So, but it never crossed my mind that there's an actual chance that we don't finish second, because it's 38 games is a long season. I mean, you've got better players 9 times out of 10, even if you have a poor start over the course of that season. A Rangers team's going to pick up more points than anybody else in the league bar Celtic. But genuinely with Russell Martin in charge, Mark, I think there's a real possibility, and I've never thought this before, I think there's a real possibility we don't even finish second, even though finishing second to us means nothing.
Yeah,
but finishing third, wow.
I know, and that's a damning indictment of his management, even after 8 weeks, because there is a body of work to look back on. I know it's only 3 domestic games and then the European games, but if you go back and watch all those games, the European games is more like tennis, back and forward, because it's more open. But even then, the first 2 games, we would have been absolutely battered if either of these team had a decent striker. And as soon as we come up against Bruges, we're clinical, but a quality up front, they tear us apart within 7 minutes, we're 2 down. All the domestic games have looked absolutely atrocious. So like you, I mean, when we came back up, that was the first season, I wasn't expecting to finish above second. But now you don't expect that, but it just looks like the way we are playing that it could be. I'm obviously, I hope it doesn't, but it could be if we continue with this that we could finish outside the top 2, which would be an absolute disgrace. The amount of money we've spent as well, because it's not like when we came back up, we didn't spend that much money. But this time we're ploughing money into this guy and giving him loads of money to bring in the players he wants, and it's getting worse. There's no sign of improvement. There's no signs that you can grab onto and go, oh, this is what he's trying to do. I can see where we're going as a team. We're just going backwards as a team. We look absolutely pathetic. And to start with no striker today was an absolute joke. I don't understand what he was thinking without a striker to start with. That was like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, why is he doing that? You're throwing Asgard under the bus as well because he's not a striker. He might have played there before in the past, but that was an absolute schoolboy error to put him there without a striker.
It was evident. It was absolutely evident, Alex, after about 4 or 5 minutes that Asgard wasn't capable of doing that role. He couldn't hold the ball up. He couldn't back into the defender. He couldn't bring others into play because he just was not used to playing that position. It was mega, mega evident. And look, I'm just a wee fat guy who sits in front of a microphone talking about the football club that he loves. That's all. I have never played semi-professional football. I have never played professional football. I have never coached at any level, right? I do not consider myself to be an expert of football tactics, of scouting, of anything, right? I just say what I think and people either agree or they disagree and then we move on with life, right? That's it. I don't think I'm anything special. I don't have anybody part of the rabble who thinks they're anything special because at the end of the day, we're just all supporters and we just give our opinion, right? I was on TalkSport on Saturday morning, right? And they were asking me about Rangers and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I said to them, I says, opposition teams against us, because of the way that our midfield, and I didn't actually say defence, but I should have, the way our midfield is right now, 2 passes and the team's through on goal, right? That's what I said. What happened today? 2 passes, St Mirren are through on goal, and it's 1-0. And then I also turned around and said to them that I would not be surprised if we draw with St Mirren or drop points, I said, right, against St Mirren tomorrow, which is today, and then go and beat Celtic next week. Now, the only bit of my opinion that's changed is the fact that I don't think we've got any chance of beating Celtic next week. None. Absolutely none. But Alex, my question is, if me, Martin, stupid wee guy who didn't get very good grades at school, was crap at football, never played it at any level, never managed, never coached. If I can see that, right, just little old me, how can Russell Martin not see that? How can the coaches at Rangers not see that? And by the way, it's not just me that's saying it. Everybody's saying it. Everybody in the comments is saying it. You guys are saying it. If we can all see it, how can Rangers and Russell Martin and the coaches not do anything about it?
Mind that wee game Flappy Birds used to play on your iPad, right? That's what Russell Martin's playing every time the ball gets played across because you can see it. He's on that tablet, Mel, and he's watching that game. It's unbelievable the amount he's actually sitting on that tablet, no actually making changes. He's playing Rothwell in a position where for 90% of the game, I mean, Dougal said it on the watch along, he put that deep heat in his forehead because he was beetroot, he was blowing at his arse, he couldn't get forward. And it's like, yeah, you're meant to be the holding midfielder. Raskin plays that role better than any player, and yet he's been told to play more further forward. This team, if I hear that we need to gel one more time, I'm gonna go out and buy some gel and put it in the bin because it's a joke. The amount that Russell Martin's saying we need to gel together. These players, most of them played together last season, and they still can't get the basics right. The fact that we're sitting here going, well, how can we get this to work? You don't get time. In a club like Rangers, you do not get time to make it work. These boys look so far at their depth that they just don't know what they're doing. A lot of these, they don't, and it's sad to see it because Ant-Man's come in. He had a great season at Go Ahead Eagles. It looks like he can't play football here. Kasama started off really well. Doesn't know what to do because he's kept out wide. Asgard was today playing in that false 9 role to be the striker, yet he spent more time near the centre circle trying to get the ball to link up play, and when he did, he couldn't get a pass on because there was 2 or 3 defenders behind him. The fact that we're relying on these tactics, we're getting out-managed by every manager in the league, and they know exactly how to manage against somebody like Russell Martin. Give no player any time in the ball, get right into them, but see me you do, whip it to one of the other sides because they're going to leave so much space that after one or two passes, you're through on goal. We've seen it time and time again. St Mirren and they shouldn't have drew that game 1 each. Not at all. They should have won that game 3 or 4-0. Jack Butland made a few good saves and the defenders got in there. Johnson put a few good tackles in. See if we didn't have somebody like Jack Butland. Now, I know it was a good goal and obviously they put it past him. See if we didn't have him, we'd have been absolutely pummeled in a lot of these games because he's put in some great saves. Now, we all wanted Jack Butland at the club last season because at the tail end, he was so poor. We had no faith in him at all. If I'm Jack Butland, I've got no faith in the defenders in front of you because look at Fernandez was okay today. Max Aarons is just a bomb scale when he gets on the ball. Nasser Giga's become a bit hot and cold. He either does really, really well or he gets himself sent off and you wonder, well, why did we get this player in? John Sitter doesn't have a right foot. Magoma can play well, but he gets whipped off, so maybe he should have a poor performance and he gets to stay on. The midfield just have no cohesion together, and you just watch each other and go, what can you change? Because the only person that's going to change this is Russell Martin, and he looks like he's got zero plan B. He's got absolutely nothing to change this, and that's the worst thing about it, because you come in and go, right, change it at half-time. His change it at half-time was throw 5 or 6 tackles on and hope one of them can get a shot on goal. That was his tactics this afternoon. We looked poor. I got them in and I gave them the hairdryer treatment at half-time. Right, here's 6 tackles. At least one of you get a goal. That was his tactics. And then defend like crazy and try not to concede. And that's what we've to put up with for the rest of the season. Because that's who in their right mind as a player come January or come the end of this window is going to go, that's a project I want to get involved. You'd be bloody mental to get involved in this right now. This is a sinking ship that we're going. We've just had new owners. We were all up at the top of our game thinking we've got a takeover. We can actually show what we've got. And then we're going, can we just end the season now? Can we just end it now and move on to next season? Because I don't want to sit here and watch another, 35 games of this, plus your cup games and your European games, because we are going to get embarrassed time and time again by every team, regardless if they're domestic or foreign. We're going to get embarrassed by every one of them. Sorry for my rant. I apologise.
Well, not every one of them, but I get your point. I take your point, and do you know? But do you know what? Yeah, it's all right to say we as supporters wanted Jack Butland out. We said Tav wasn't good enough. We said this. We said that. I still don't think in the long run Tav's good enough, right? But we as supporters, we're allowed to get things wrong and then come back and go, oh, by the way, hands up. I was completely wrong there. By the way, I was totally wrong. What I said there, but that was a stupid reaction to something that a player did or this or that. Managers can only get so much wrong before they need to go, before they absolutely have to go. And Mark, one thing that really did frustrate me, and maybe this is just my emotional reaction to the game, he said, we can still make next week a good week, right? I'll be brutally honest with you, mate, right? I certainly don't expect us to overturn the result against Bruges, right? See, even if we do, and we manage to get to the Champions League, and then we beat Celtic on Sunday, I genuinely mean this, and I'm going to bring up this super chat for William as well and go along with it. Get this imposter out of our club. Hamza's the least of our worries. His win rate, tactics, and style of football is abysmal. You're not wanted. 100%, right? 100%. I agree with William on that. See if we beat Bruges and Celtic, it changes absolutely nothing for me, Mark. Absolutely nothing.
No, it just papers over the cracks. That'll just be, if we beat Bruges during the week, which I can't see. I mean, obviously we could, but it's just I don't see it under Russell Martin, the way that he's playing and putting the team out. I think that game is gone, that tie's gone. And even if we got through and we got into the Champions League proper, we'd get absolutely scalped. If we got a bad draw, we'd be looking at ridiculous scores, and even against some of the top teams. So I wouldn't even be wanting to watch those games because it'd be an absolute embarrassment. In the Celtic game, they take care of themselves, but the way we are playing, I've got no confidence that we're going to beat them. They've got fast, pacey wingers, and behind they're going to tear us apart. I can't see it myself unless it changes. Russell Martin is a championship manager, like we said earlier, so I think it's been a really, 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 really poor appointment. And what worries me is that he had seven interviews to get the job, and they thought that was the man, and it's an absolute mess. I can't understand how they plucked him. I didn't want him, but obviously I'm on board with it because he's in, so that's fine. But I cannot understand why we plucked him and gave him 20 million plus of funds to bring in players, which he spent on Championship, League One players, and they're all young. And what experience have we brought in? I think we're crying out for some experience, an experienced centre back. We needed left back, at least one, because now we've got none. We need a new striker. We need to get rid of some of the strikers. Danilo could go. Igamane can go. I mean, it's still loads of work to be done. I mean, obviously, I know you can't do every bit of business in one window, but I think the business that's been done so far has all been loaded to one type. There's no experience. They're running about like headless chickens. No one's taking command of the team. No one's taking command on the field. No one seems to understand what Russell Martin wants. I just see it being another mistake, another poor appointment. And how long do we let it go before you cut it off? I mean, to get rid of him now is going to cost a fortune, but to get the right man.
No.
No, I know, but I'm not saying that I don't say that we shouldn't do it, but I'm saying it's going to cost a fortune. So, but you still have to get it done.
How much more is it going to cost us? And how many times have I? Do you know? I feel like I've had this conversation about 80 times with previous managers. How much is it going to cost us to keep him?
And that's what I mean. How much? It's probably worth getting rid of him now, making that. But that's a really hard choice to make after 3 domestic games and 3 European ties. But I think it's the right one, and I'm sure you two agree it's the right one, that we need to make it now and get somebody in place now. Because if we do it now, you give yourself time to get somebody in who's going to have implement a normal style of football that's going to work. You know, bamboozling the players with tactics and ways of playing that is totally beyond their capabilities. They're not playing to their strengths at all. And I just don't understand what he's trying to achieve. He speaks in riddles. He speaks round and round in circles, and he says intensity, pressing, attacking, pace. There's none of that. I don't see any of it. So if that's what they're working on, I don't know what the players are hearing, because that's not what we are seeing on the pitch. None of the games have been like that. They've all been an absolute joke, to be honest.
Yeah, but listen, I agree. I totally agree with that, and I want to bring that point back. Actually, just firstly, William, thank you very much for that super chat. By the way, thank you for the support. And I'll add that in with this as well for guys, because that's a great point you made, Mark. Right? What a mess we are in. So sad. Igamane doesn't want to play. Didn't get a shot and goal until Curtis came on. Why he's not getting a start, I don't get it. Bringing that back to you, Alex, because that's something that you said about Finlay Curtis. But what Mark said there, which goes along actually with a bit of Gazzy's super chat there. Russell Martin spoke about coming in and playing fast attacking football. It's not just a case of having the ball and just seeing what you can do with it, and the pressing's got to be good. There is not a single sign, right? Not a single sign. If we had seen a little bit of that, and you were seeing a little bit more every game, and we weren't getting the results, we could maybe sit here and go, look, we can kind of see what we're trying to do here. But Alex, we've not seen a single bit of that.
Mate, it's panic stations for 90 minutes. It's sitting on about like headless chickens for whatever portion of the game it is until we get a goal. Then get a foot up the backside for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, try and go hell to leather to get a goal, and then stop and go, right, we've done all we can, we're not going to win the game, so we'll just sit back. There was a moment in the game and I thought it was quite funny, and I said, there you go, that just shows how clueless Martin is to the game. We've got a throw in on the far side and the ball was at Martin's hands, and he's got 2 players standing in front of him. I think it was Diamande and Tav, and he's sitting shuggling the ball about. It's like you just throw the ball to one of the players so they can get on with the game. So it was just like, you don't have a clue. Like, get the game back on the way. We're on the ascendancy here, and he doesn't. But his tactics are that he doesn't have tactics. He's absolutely blagged his way into a job telling us that we're going to see so much intensity, fight, determination, we're going to be stronger than players. We don't see it at all. And to go on to Gaz's point, he's talking about Finlay Curtis. Curtis has got to be sitting there going, what do I have today? Because we were all talking about maybe Curtis could go out on loan. Maybe he can go to like Kelly or Motherwell and get a game there. He could quite easily. He's shown it, get into the starting 11 and actually get a goal. He's better than what we brought in. Do you know what it is? It's because we brought some of the cant man and we paid a fee. we can't waste that money by not playing him. So we have to show that he will come good. So Curtis, you're going to have to take a back seat on the bench. And it's poor to see. We're all hoping that Ant-Man and Kassam are going to turn out like Vaclav Chowny and Abdallah Sima, and they're going to have like a poor start to the game, and all of a sudden they're going to kick on and get us loads of goals. Well, right now, none of them are getting goals. Right now, we don't have anybody to get goals. As Mark said, we've got no left backs on the books at all. We need to pretty much all three of our strikers can go.
We've got Magoma. Let's not forget about Magoma, who I actually think is one of the few players who gets pass marks. I know he's only on loan. I'm just saying right now at the club.
Aye. So he's probably the only one that gets pass marks. Completely agree with you. But you've got three strikers. You've got three strikers, right? One's injured. One can't hit a Ballon d'Or. One doesn't know what to play. What a great state of affairs winning up top. We've got a midfield that are so disjointed and can't actually get anywhere near each other. Can't string a pass together. And then we go, do you know what? Let's go to a back three when we can't defend with a back four. We'll go to a back three and throw on 6 attackers and say, right, everybody just get forward. And hopefully somebody gets a goal. There was a point, and somebody brought it up in the comments. I can't remember who it was, but we did have that chance very early on where we looked like we were going to get in. There was a great ball in from Goma. It falls straight to Lyle Cameron, and he smashed it over the bar. You think, go with your head, and that's 1-0. And then see, as soon as that didn't go, we went, right, that's it. That's not worked. We're not doing that again.
Yep. Only chance we created in the first half, Alex.
Only one we created, and then we thought, right, that didn't work, even though it was the closest we came to getting that goal. Let's just revert back to trying to play the ball to our feet when we can't get a minute to breathe. I mean, I say that he's a bully is probably the best word for him. But see somebody like Alex Gogic, he just destroyed every one of our attackers. Everyone. See anyone that got near him, he just threw them off the ball. And none of them were able to fight back. There was a point where Mikey Moore went in for a tackle, won the ball, got around him. Gogic just got back up, got the ball, and then shoulder barged him at the road. None of our players showed any fight or determination to keep going. Suter got thrown into the stands in the first half. Now, I get that Mandaron is a strong boy, but you're a centre-half and you're getting thrown into the stands. Show a bit of fighting character. None of these players have got anything about them, and a lot of them are trying to hide. And it's the worst thing to see because we just want somebody to go, I'm going to take this game by the scruff of my neck and show you what I can do.
What I would say about the Suter one is, and I'm not defending Suter, because again, I didn't think he played that well today. It's the balance of where he is and where he gets shoved. Any player, regardless of how strong you were, was getting thrown off there. But it was just really good striker play, something that we're just not used to. That's why, guys. Thank you very much for the super chat, my friend, and just on that, and Perry's as well. Super chat. Thank you very much, Perry. Scored one league goal. It wasn't from a set piece. In 3 games. 1 goal that wasn't from a set piece. That is how poor our attacking is right now. Absolutely shocking. Perry, thank you very much. Of course, Asgard did have that chance as well where Shamal George, to be fair to him, to be fair to the goalkeeper, that was phenomenal reaction saves from him. To be fair, I forgot about that one actually. So fair play to him. Fair play to him on that. And I have to apologise to all the Rangers supporters watching, right? Because I know this is getting boring. I know this is getting frustrating. I know this is just becoming the norm that every single time now we seem to tune into a reaction, whether it's me, Alex, Mark that's on, whether it's anybody else that's on, it's just pure negativity. But unfortunately, I can't think of any positives to bring these. The only positive, there's only a couple of positives from today, right? If I'm trying to be as positive as I possibly can, was Magoma on the left, even though he almost did cause a goal when was it Mandaron, I think, or the other striker, I can't remember the other striker's name, tackled him and went through on goal. But apart from that, he's good at getting up and down. He's good at crossing the ball in. It was him that laid it on a plate, obviously, like you were saying, Alex, for Lyle Cameron. And Finlay Curtis coming on and scoring again. That is, I can't see any positives about how this team are progressing, how the players are starting to gel together, Russell Martin's tactics, Russell Martin's reactions in games, Russell Martin's discussions with players. I genuinely would be lying if I came on here and I was positive in the slightest. So I can't come on and just lie and pretend that everything's all right and be positive. I really can't. But do go super chat here as well, Mark. I mean, we're 8 weeks into and the league is gone. We're only 3 weeks into the league, right? But the league's gone. The Champions League's gone, and I have no doubt the League Cup will be gone when we play that game as well. Right now, where we sit, Mark, There is absolutely no argument against that.
No, I can see us getting beat against Hibs in the League Cup because the way we are so open, and they've got pace on the wings and the forward line as well, so they could tear us apart. Most teams were open to most teams domestically and obviously European as well, but it's a bit more of a tennis match when you're in Europe because they don't play the same way, but we're open. So I think domestically we're way off it, and obviously Dougal's got that right. Well, the league, I mean, I say I'm one of them. I'll say I don't think the league's gone right now. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, it's getting there.
It has to improve quickly, though, Mark. It has to improve now.
Yes, unless we see signs immediately, as in we beat Bruges, we beat Celtic, we beat the next one, and we go on a run, then it is one more defeat. If we get beat off Celtic, then that'll be me. I'll be like, well, yeah, that's it. It's going to be another mediocre season, and Hibs could put us to the sword and put us at the cup because they're a decent team. They've got decent pace, and pace is what kills us. It's like you said, two touches. We were in their box pretty much, or their 18-yard box. They won the ball, one pass, next pass, boom, and he's in, and it's a goal. That's how easy it is to break us up, to get straight through. So it's an absolute embarrassment, and that's happened numerous times already over the last few games. That's what it's like. It's like two touch Rangers, 2 touches and you're in. You're in, bearing down on the goal. And we don't seem to have anything to stop it. We're just not set up properly. I think, like we said earlier, I think the players are gone already. I think they just cannot buy into what he's trying to peddle tactically. They just are bamboozled by it. And I think if we don't see a pickup immediately, next game, if we get beat on Celtic, then that's it. I'll be like, it's done. I can't see us pulling it back. It's just another rinse and repeat season.
See, the thing is, though, Mark, see when you're saying it's a mediocre season, we might not even get mediocre this season because we might not even get second. Second for us is a mediocre season because at least we're getting an opportunity Champions League football. We might be staring down the barrel of getting Europa League as a guarantee, Conference League, or none. The way we're going on, we might actually get no European football next season because we're performing that poorly that we're now 7th in the league. So we're not even in the top half of the table, and yet we're going, it might improve. Even if we beat Celtic, every team knows how to set up against us. So unless Russell Martin's going to bring in one player who is a right-sided centre-half, if he's going to bring in a left-back, a striker, he basically needs to bring in another starting 11 and go, right, this is my Europe team, this is my domestic team, because right now none of those players know how to play in the domestic league. None of them. You look at Ant-Man and Gassama, they have the best time in Europe. Why? Because they get space. They get space to run in behind. They get space to show that they've got their pace. There was so many times in the game today, Martin, I don't know if you'll agree, and yourself as well, Mark, Gassama had the ball. He was just outside our box. He's got the head up, and he's screaming because nobody's moving in front of him. There's literally no player to go. And if you've got a boy that's just come in the club, Magoma did the exact same. They're sitting going, why is nobody moving forward? And they try and pop a ball forward, hoping somebody will get onto it. We're bringing in players that have got talent, and we're absolutely ruining them because we're just playing so poor football that nobody wants to go forward. When have you known our team to have 11 men in the box and then none of them to spring forward? They're all either jogging, walking back, or they're not even looking at where the ball is. And that is what we're struggling with. That the players just have no intensity to get forward, yet they're going, oh, we're trying, they're gelling, they're getting intensity levels up. When they're walking off the pitch.
What's the one thing that big teams have always had, right? And I'll take it back to Rangers under Advocat in the first 2 seasons, right? Rangers under Walter Smith during the 9 in a row and his second spell as manager. Man U under Sir Alex Ferguson. Chelsea under Jose Mourinho. One thing they all had was they had half the teams beat in the tunnel before the game, right? Not a single team is scared of us. Not a single team's in that tunnel before the game walking out onto the pitch going, this is going to be a really tough game today, by the way. We're going to be right under the cosh. You looked at, see when it showed you the tunnel before the game, the St Mirren players are all laughing and joking with each other. They're so calm, they're so cool. They're looking forward to the game. What's the Rangers players doing? Not one of them communicating, just standing there. Yeah, we need to go and play a game of football. There is no fear whatsoever in any team that plays us. None.
We have no leader. That's our issue. We've got no leaders. None.
Absolutely none. Blue Mac, who's been a member for 5 months, thank you very much, Blue Mac. We look lost and confused, like you're saying there, Alex. There's no leadership, no identity, no structure, no plan A, B, or C, just no positives. the entire club is extremely toxic. 100% Blue Mac. It is extremely toxic right now. And it's going to... We've just had a takeover, for God's sake. We've just had new owners come in. Not promising us the world, but promising us that things were going to change and things were going to get better and processes were going to be looked at. And this season just seems to be taking on the same shape, if not a worse shape, so far than previous seasons. It's honestly, I could sit here and rant all day. But James Cameron, super chat, Mark, I'll take this to you, bud. Thank you very much, James. Robinson, McInnes, and Martindale would all improve this team. Would take any of them right now over Russell Martin. I would take anybody over Russell Martin, Mark, right? McInnes, I don't think so. Martindale, probably not. The one I would seriously consider taking is Stevie Robertson. I genuinely would.
He's good at organising the team. I think, going back to your previous comment, that's something we lack. And those teams that you mentioned, they all had solid defensive spines. Something that we're diffy a spine. We don't seem to have a spine at all. There's nothing to it. There's no backbone in this team. I think Robinson's good at organising a team, but then you really want to put Robinson in charge of Rangers. I don't know. Is there better out there? Possibly.
Do you know what, Mark? Let me give you my thought process on it, right? We've looked at Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. We've looked at Michael Beale, right? We've looked at Philip Clement. We've looked at European names, some English names. We've looked at... Basically, what we've done is we've looked at managers, right, who we think can do well in Europe and have that big name and that can attract some players, right? And we've also... And then we've looked at managers and we've went, he's decent there, but he's not going to be that name for Rangers. He's not going to do this in Europe. He's not going to do this. Look at the clubs that he's managed. He's never really spent money. Oh, look, they're boring to watch. Walter Smith's teams weren't exactly great to watch, right? No, sometimes they were. Sometimes we played some really good football. But a lot of the times under Walter Smith, it was you make sure you defend and then you get that win. I think it's about time, Alex, that we tried something a little bit different than going for the fancy name. He's managed in the Premier League. He's got somebody promoted from the Championship. Stephen Robinson knows this. Like, I'm not saying that we should go and get him, right? I'm just taking the super chat for James and I'm expanding on it, right? I don't. How can we argue about somebody like Stevie Robinson who's finished in the top 6 for 3 years with St Mirren, right? And the budget that they've got. The job he done at Motherwell was amazing. Remember the time we went and got Alex McLeish because he done a good job at Hibs and Motherwell? Remember that? What did Alex McLeish do for Rangers? He won us a treble. He won us 2 cups in his first season. I think we need to maybe just look to get away from this snobbish way that we look at bringing in managers.
You just took the words out of my mouth for your last wee bit there. But we have the same view on managers that we do with players. We've got such a snobbish view that we can't get players to play in the Scottish League because they won't be good enough to play at Rangers, yet they turn us over week in, week out. These managers know how to do a job in our league. You get players that come up and go, it'll be a doddle up in Scotland, you know, it's such a pub league, it's a doddle. We've got one of the hardest leagues to play in because it's such negative football. But see if it's not, there's crunching tackles. The managers just sit up one way, 11 men behind the ball, somebody to counter on you. I 100% agree that Stevie Robertson would change your club around. I think he'd be a great manager at Rangers. The issue is that, you know, it's a snobbery we have to look out with. We need to look for that star name, one that's going to be up in lights and in the paper. Russell Martin couldn't really play a game of football. Ibroxson is a player, never mind actually managing, and he's just never had a good time at this club. He's not had a good time as a player or a manager. The only manager that's actually done it for down south was Steven Gerrard in recent times. Realistically, since Steven Gerrard, we've done nothing, have we? Really? We've not. And yet we're looking at all these managers going, they're doing well in their league, but they're doing, like Stephen Robinson's doing well with such a tiny budget. Think of the players he would uncover and get actually working for us, knowing how the league works, knowing how we play. If he was just given a bit of budget under us, I think we'd be completely different. Yet Russell Martin looks like he's completely out of his depth. He doesn't know how to manage manage our club. He doesn't know how to manage the players. He just looks lost. And I think that if you were getting a manager who knows the league, knows the system, and actually didn't have this, the fear to say my tactics aren't working, but we can improve. Whereas Russell Martin's never once said it's his tactics. It's the players. It's the players. The players aren't doing it. They're still gelling. So none of the onus is on him. He's not done anything wrong. It's all the players. And I think these managers, when you listen to the pressers on Sports Scene after the game, they're honest about it. I got that wrong today. I got this wrong. We could have done that better. But, it's going to be pipe dreams at this point because we're going to be stuck with Russell Martin at the end of the season. Let's be honest.
I completely disagree with CJ Books fan saying Jim Goodwin is a far better manager than Robinson. No, he isn't. No, he isn't.
Can I jump in there? Can I jump in there, Martin, on that one? I'm no against having a domestic manager. I'm no pro like you've got to have this big fancy foreign name. You just need to have a quality manager is what I'm looking for, who can come in. I think Robinson could probably come in and shore up the defence and make us more solid to beat and more solid to play against, a better structure. But I would be looking outside for a fancy name, but I don't know who have we got. What's the other names that you've got domestically that could do as a job? Because I'm all for a Scottish core. I don't think we've got enough Scottish players, and I don't think we could do a Scottish manager or a domestically capable manager that's managed in Scotland and that's done a good track record. Like you say, Robinson has done well with St Mirren, but who else is there that we could look at domestically that could come in and do a job? Because we've went down that fancy route of fancy European style managers who come in and they do well in Europe and we do all right, but domestically we're a bit on fire every season. We're just nowhere near it. So I don't. Who else have we got? Who else could we be looking at domestically?
Again, I honestly don't know.
That's what I mean. There's no lot of choice. There's only one or two that you could maybe think that you would. But are the new board going to go for that? They're American. Are they going to be interested in that? Are they just going to? They're just going to go out. Obviously, they picked Russell Martin from somewhere, so I don't really know. Yeah. Their first managerial appointment has not been a great one, so I don't know where they go from here.
But there's something as well. There's a bit of naivety with the new owners and the way that this league actually is. They've probably looked at it by watching a few games and thought, I can get a manager. And Russell Martin's obviously spoke about the way he wants to play in his interview and spoke about how he'll get his players playing. So I think there's a bit of naivety in them, and they've gone, well, it worked at Leeds. They got promoted up to Premier League, so maybe we can get that working with Rangers. And it just isn't. It's completely different the way that football's played up here. They probably looked at a few European games rather than actually league games, because if you look at some of our league games last season, we didn't have a clue how to play football. Never mind to actually win games. So
yeah, they're overcomplicated. That's what they do. They overcomplicate it. Scottish football is not that complicated, but they go for that over the top complicated management style, which is good in Europe, and we've seen it. That's why we've had a good record in Europe, but domestically, it's been absolutely atrocious because it's just not suited to domestic football.
The fact that we are sitting here 3 games into the league season talking about taking the St Mirren manager, and again, that is absolutely no slight. I really like Stevie Robinson. I think he's a cracking manager. I really do. Now, whether that means that he could make that step up to Rangers and manage, players that are on higher wages and maybe change his style slightly, would that work? I don't know. I just know that wherever he's went in Scotland, he's pretty much got it spot on. And he knows how to play, he knows how to manage, he knows how to get players to play in this league. Would he be able to transfer that into Europe? I honestly don't know. But what other options? What other options do we have? I mean, what other options? What other options do we have right now? I know. What other options do we have right now? But go out and find another manager with a fancy name, or go out and find another manager who's managing the Premier League, and then comes through to Scotland and does nothing.
And that's what I said about the players. Like, why is a player going to want to come here? Why is a manager going to come here when this is the players he's got to deal with right now? You can see that the way that it's been played when we're getting all these loans in. Like, why are we getting loan players in for a year's deal when we're actually sitting here saying we need new talent and we need players in? And yet we'll get them in a year loan and hope they make a difference, knowing that there's no opportunity to sign them because the fee that they went for at their club, we're not going to get them. I mean, Goma was 10 million that he went. We've looked at somebody like Max Aarons. He's going to be at a massive fee. Nasser Jiga was a massive fee. We're never going to get these players in. And I do see some of the comments as well when they're talking about some of the managers we could get in. There's a lot of managers we could take, but as Martin says, how many are actually going to want to come to Rangers right now with the way we're playing? We couldn't get any to come when we were in the midst of a takeover looking like it was going to be great going forward. Now we're sitting here 3 points from 3 games, and we're going, now we might need a new manager. A lot of these managers are going to go, I actually don't know if I can come forward. Oh, he sounds like a cracking manager, him, by the way. Let's get him in. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that because I will get myself cancelled. So I'm not even going with it.
No, I know. Oh, listen, Mark, mate, I'll give you the final word, mate, before we let everybody get back to enjoying the rest of their Sunday.
What am I going to say? What can you say?
Give everybody watching and everybody listening back some positivity to head and finish off their Sunday.
Well, we've not got another game until Wednesday, is it? So you got a few.
There you go. That'll do it.
You got a few days peace before the next one. Oh God.
It's just poor, mate, isn't it?
It's mate, but you can't say anything else, but you can't help but be negative because the performances are negative and it's just week in, week out. So game in, game out. So there's nothing really else you can say apart from you've got a couple of days off. So just take yourself away from everything Rangers related and just enjoy a couple of days of peace.
Yeah, see, that's all right. That's all right for all of you. I need to talk about this again tomorrow 3 times and then it's absolutely brutal, man. I don't know where we go from here, folks. I really don't know where we go. It'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few days, and then we're into Wednesday, and then we're playing Celtic on Sunday, and then guess what? We're playing the week after that.
Do you think it'll be the same manager by the time we get to the Celtic game?
I tell you what, right? You want the job, Martin. Do you know what I'd have done today? I'd have played 4-4-2, and I would have dragged Igamane onto the park and went, "You're playing there, wee man," and see if we. No, I can't. Right, okay. Right, folks, that will do us for today. I hope that you took some kind of solace out of the show. Of course, that's if you're of the Rangers persuasion, you took some solace out of the show. If you're not of a Rangers persuasion, I'm pretty sure you took quite a lot of enjoyment out of the show. And we aim to please. That's what we aim to do here. We aim to please everybody. So there we go. Folks, please do make sure and give the show, if you're watching on YouTube, a like and subscribe. I keep forgetting to put a banner across the bottom of the show, which I keep getting into trouble for, right? So there it's there. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you share the show as well. Share the show. Try saying that 3 times fast. Make sure you like and all that stuff on all the socials as well. All the links are in the description. And if you want to help the show out a little bit further, help independent Rangers media out a little bit further. We don't have any backers, to be honest with you. We've got 0 backers. So if you want to become a backer of the show, then get in touch at rangersrabble@gmail.com. But if you want to just help support the show a little bit more and become a member, you can now. Links are in the description for that. Alex, Mark, thank you very much. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you for all the super chats as well today. That massive support. Everybody listening back on audio platforms, thank you so much. And unfortunately, folks, we shall speak very, very soon.